Good morning, my friends. This is Rick, and you're seated at the table. Welcome to the Kathol Outback, also part of the Dark Strider campaign, Star Wars supplement slash campaign book from, let's see what year it was published in. Where you at? Special thanks to Timothy Zahn, outstanding author. I can tell you that a lot of his stuff. Come on. Well, there's got to be a date somewhere. Imagine that. I don't see a date somewhere. Oh, I'm sure somewhere it's got. They usually don't have, not have a date on here. Oh, 1996. All right. As you can see from the condition of this book, I've actually used it quite a bit, and I ran several long, short campaigns would be best served, or multiple session sit downs for a couple friends in the Kathol Outback. We didn't actually do the Dark Strider campaign itself that much, but we did utilize the background and the area of the space. So, welcome to the Kathol Outback. Of course, the Kathol sector claimed by the Empire is much bigger than the area actually controlled by Moff Sarne. Sarne, with his military might, was at its pinnacle, could only project his power over about a quarter of the sector. The rest of the sector lies beyond a very long stretch of empty space called the Markle Void. Beyond the void lies the Kathol Outback, a stretch of stars with many small settlements. These settlements include subsistence colonies, worlds populated by refugees, criminals, penal colony convicts, and religious cults. Starfields of the Outback are dominated by an enormous backdrop of glowing dust, milky white tendrils of burning gases, glowing nimbuses of coalescing star systems. Majestic cloud blazing in the light of thousands of young suns is the Kathol Rift. The rift forms the far border of the Outback as far as is known. No one from civilized space has passed through it. In return, there isn't much interest in doing so either. The people who live in its shadow are more concerned with demands of day-to-day living and staying out of the way of the mysterious Ang-Ting monks, strange aliens who take a dim view of anyone interfering with their unknowable affairs. The Markle Void is a stretch of empty space which cuts through the sector, separating the Imperial region dominated by Carol Chabal and the independent world wilds of the Outback. Imperial dominated portion of the Kathol sector ends, for all practical purposes, at the Void. Sarn occasionally sends ships on patrol to the Void and out into the Outback. Now, of course, these excursions have stopped altogether, with New Republic's takeover of the sector. Although Sarn's fleet crossed the Void itself as it fled into the sector. The Void is roughly 30 light years across, with no known fast hyperdrive routes. A ship with a hyperdrive multiplier of 1 takes over 14 days to cross the Void. It is not an idle undertaking. There are no systems within the Void and very little space debris. Because of this, blind jumps to the Void are relatively safe. Many of the pirates of the area blind jump into the Void when pursued, since they know the chances of hitting something are vanishingly small, and about as small as the chances their pursuers can track a blind jump. The New Republic and the Outback. Okay. So, gives you an idea what you're dealing with. Worlds of the Outback, Timbra Ut, the Penbellan League, Sapella. Sapella is a world which is isolated even by Outback standards. A few travel the 5-day route from Timbra Ort to Sapella, since there is main route running directly to Jangle and the more profitable trading in the Kathol Republic. Sapella is in the early stages of an ice age. The polar ice caps cover most of the northern and southern hemispheres, and the temperate ranges from chilly to frigid. There's a temperature band near the equator. The Sapella colony is settled in this region. Weather is milder and merely cold, and the terrain is made up of hilly coastland islands. The colony raises hen pairs, and the peaches, a variety of grains, and several types of livestock, as vendors produce a very tasty wine, which is this merchants trade for needed supplies from other colonies, most commonly the Timbra Ut and the Jangle, etc., etc. Binos, Jangle, Dirac, Penton, this goes down. Supplies. Keeping a FarStar running is no simple task in the depths of unsettled space, where even the most routine maintenance with procedures can be impossible if replacement parts are scarce or worse, unavailable. Restocking the FarStar supplies is going to be a major headache once beyond the Void. Food stuffs can come out of the ship stores if need be, but the veteran prefers to stop and investigate plans, helps with replenishing supplies whenever possible. Water is available in most worlds that produce safe food, and it can be forced out of ice comets in just about any system. However, careful filtration is always necessary, and there is always a possibility that there may be something dangerous in the water that the FarStar sensors and labs cannot detect. Machine parts and high-tech replacement parts for failing engines, however, are quite another matter. Even locating supplies of raw materials for Lothrin's machine shop might be a challenge. Most colonies have little in the way of parts for capital ships and most likely jealously guard what they do have for their own vessels. If the FarStar crew does manage to locate someone willing to part with a scarce item, even blaster cells are precious to a colony which only gets a new supply every 3 years, it will likely cost a great deal. While the quest for mundane supplies should not become dominant of the campaign, the importance of allocating resources and time locating these supplies should be emphasized early on. Shipboard shortages can require significant detours leading interesting adventures. See, that's the reason why the first time I ran anything in the Kathol Outback, we ended up going off tangent. Originally was pursuing the opening leads for the Dark Strider campaign, and in the process of trying to fix a faulty engine component, it became an adventure unto itself, just trying to track down the needed materials and parts to cobble together the thing they needed in order to be able to recross the void. So it was, if I remember right, that became an interesting sidebar all by itself. Keeping up with navigation charts, the Kathol Outback sector, or maps. Vizians of the Outback, the Anthill monks. The Anthill monks are a mysterious species of aliens who haunt the outer fringes of the Outback near the Kathol Rift. No one knows much about them, for the simple fact that they keep to themselves and are powerful enough to discourage casual attempts by other species to contact them. They've been cruising the Outback for unknowable errands for as long as other species can remember. They seem to pass in and out of the rift from time to time. Seldom allow a curious to shadow them for long, however. Those who have tried to report that after a time the antique ship suddenly turns on the pursuing vessel and bathes it in a strange beam, which so bedazzles the crew that they lose complete track of time. When they return to their senses some hours later, the antique craft is long gone. That the antique value their privacy does not mean that they have managed to keep all information regarding themselves out, etc., etc. You can get a picture of what these guys look like. I don't, other than a scene from a distance, I don't think I ever introduced these guys to my campaign. Captain Trindam and the Lance of Endor. Imperial Lilac 2 Corvette at Moff Sarne Street, blah, 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 back in game extra notes. The Skinned Arrow Bandits. This is the Bounty Hunter. Now this is an interesting character, and it gives you notes in here to suggest that some of these characters should be introduced gradually to your group, maybe seen from a distance. Perhaps you see the Bounty Hunter apprehending somebody or following somebody, or conducting some bit of business, but as a glance, and then later it's more of a glance, and then there's an indirect encounter, and then the main encounters and introductions. It's kind of the build up to that's their suggestions, which it works, and I've done that similar things to other campaigns, and I'm sure you have too. Maddie McCatton. Maddie McCatton is a crazy coot. She's a very old Bith trader who putters around the Outback selling replacement machinery parts and luxury items to various colonies and settlements. She can be found literally anywhere in the Outback in her battered ship, the Scrupper Bantu. Maddie is somewhat senile. She talks to herself. She's an interesting character. I had some fun with her. Plant food. Background. Moff Sarne cannot extend his control over the entire Kathol sector, but he did his best to place a presence to where it was important. Scattered about the Kathol Outback are several supply depots, research facilities, secret bases. One of these research facilities, located on the lush planet of Bernos. While chasing Sarne and charting the Outback, the FarStar discovers Marnos. Sensor scans reveal a planet is teeming with non-sentient life, especially vegetation. The captain feels a small reconnaissance party should be sent to the surface to collect food and other useful resources, and what they discover is something more interesting. A xenobiologist and research facility. Right? Episode 1, exploration, collecting food, the hunt. Chapter 2, the ruins, etc., wreckage. The Imperial Research Station, hidden behind a crypt, etc., etc. Then we get to this, that, and the other thing. Target practice. Episode 4, the enemy within. So while in his hunt of miles, cloud disturbed a curious plant in a dormant state, spewed a cloud of tiny spores, lost himself in a spur. When he returned to the ship, the spores came with him. When he groomed himself, the spores broke free and drifted into the ship's air. Most landed on sterile hallways. A parachute landed in the forward lower hold, presses hyperpronic nutrients, metal, and darkness were conducted to the plant's cycle, causing some issues. Body storage, first sign of the enemy, escalation, hydroponics, lab attack. Here, following day, the xenobiologist today reports a step from hydroponics lab A. Moderate investigation total reports that approximately 75 liters of water have been extracted from an open tank feeding the irrigation system. Feeders, escalation. For long, you're going to have a plant growth that becomes a pest. And you get a kind of a picture. Problem is bigger than we thought. Trail left by the injured feeder leads to the darkened interior of the forward lower hold. The hold is huge, so searching it will take some time. It won't be boring activity, however, since 10 feeders will attack the characters entering the hold. Secluded well-hidden recess of the cargo hold behind it, partially inside a huge crate of water pumps, is the mother plant. Roots are intertwined about machinery, have penetrated the deck plating below it. The plant is the cause of all the malfunctions, and limiting it will eventually bring a stop to FarStar's infestation problems, since the feeders have short lifespans and will soon die. There are 8 feeders defending the mother plant, defending and tending to its needs. Any feeders that survive the hydroponics lab attacks defense the hold will also be here. They also attempt to overwhelm the tumors en masse. Meanwhile, Sarne's patrol has found the FarStar. Imperial complications. FarStar crew is dealing with this parasite problem. Sarne's patrol arrives and moves in on the FarStar. Patrol fleet consists of a modified Lancer-class frigate, the Pulsar, and 3 Skipway blast boats. Rewards. Little Empires. Introduction. Moff Sarne's elaborate schemes once again plagued the FarStar. Not quite prepared to receive the new Republic vessel beyond the Kathol Rift, he has instructed Captain Timberland and the Lance of Endor to delay the FarStar at the isolated Kathol Republic in a pocket empire centered in the Epsilon star system, etc., etc. Episode 1, A Case of Mistaken Identity, The Cavalry Rise, Kathol Republic Corvettes. Skip. Episode 2, Political Problems. The Kathol Republic is a 10-star system that were settled decades ago. A number of maverick politicians chose to flee the crumbling old republic, start anew, and they don't recognize the Empire or the new republic. Council meeting, the dock. Episode 3, Echoes of Empire. Off to Pitton. See, now the problem with the Kathol Empire is that its internal politics is squabbling on a localized scale. So each time they elect a new leader, a new quote president, that president's homeworld becomes the seat of power. So there's a lot of manipulation and maneuvering and skullduggery, and the characters can get drug into it pretty easily and sidetracked real easily. They allow themselves. So it's a matter of where you want to go. Off the pin, the world in the street, stumbling dark, negotiating with Uda. Game Master notes, Uda Chan, regaining the FarStar, still rewards, dealing with Uda, further adventures. Kathol Republic covers 10 star systems, include 12 additional worlds that were not detailed in this adventure. Further adventures may lie await on any of these planets. Characters may be pitted against more than Sarne's operatives, or they may be caught up in the political infighting of the senators. By exposing Senator Dew's plans, they have made a powerful enemy. Perhaps he will one day seek revenge. That's what I'm saying. See, it's really easy. Your campaign can really easily go off kilter. Wildfire. Stare at the screen. I've discovered an unknown ship approximately 1,500 kilometers from our current location. Strange, but not too strange. Seems to be something to look into. What was that? Somebody said loud unusual. Hurry down this captain to restation, peered over his shoulder. Was some kind of energy surge, he says. I'll take insights from monitor. Exceeded every sensor range limit. I've never seen anything like it. So basically, the ship's covered in some kind of lightning, and you got to time your entrance to get into it. Afterburn. Chasm sword past revealed. Documented characters, episode 2, The Summit. Chasm's defection. Episode 3, One Man's Folly. I always find these dark specs, they're a bit hard on my eyes to read. It wasn't so bad when I was younger, but this style is not very good for print. I'm just saying it adds, might have been different if it was meant to be in color, but it's just harder for me to read. Aboard this FarStar, Confederation guards, back on the space station. Final confrontation. The Masters of Excron. Yet another adventure. The Hidden World. Expedition into the Cloud. As FarStar draws closer to the Kathol Rift, gas offshoots and mini nebulae are becoming increasingly common. Protostar's burst, which completely hides its contents behind a cloak of radiation, sensor jamming static, and the captain wants to be sure nothing is threatening lurking within before moving on. So the captain's ordered the launch of a probe droid, since it cannot send back reports while the cloud has orders to pop back out the area with preliminary images and scan data, then go back in for more in-depth survey. It is to return to FarStar in 5 hours. Initial report comes in on schedule. The image is not clear, but simply so. A cobalt blue cloudscape tinged with bright white tendrils of supercharged gaseous matter. The limited data indicates a small yellow star is within the cloud, orbited by a planet of unknown composition. Then the droid announces going in for a closer look, and then the droid never comes back, so the captain's forced to send an X-Wing in to get a further exploration before making an attempt to get onto the planet. And the X-Wings are supposed to go find the probe and have issue an adventure of their own. Episode 2, on to the Cabela City, the hidden planet. Cabela City intrigues. Once again, you're getting tied up and drug into local politics and machinisms, so on and so forth. Episode 4 for Revolution, getting the X-Wings. Like I said, there's a lot of material, lots of stuff going on in here, and lots of different. It's hard to keep everything. If you follow the plan, the plan's a bit vague in some spots, and so it can be an interesting adventure. Once again, I've never successfully followed the actual implied adventure in it because there's so much opportunity for side things. And as a source book, it's a great section. It's yet another section, another corner of the Star Wars universe, galaxy to explore and to play. You can spend entire campaigns. You can spend years just operating in this region and using this one book. If books like this are valuable, especially if you're on a budget or you got a really dedicated group. If you only got a handful of core books and you have one or two good source books, you can have years of play if you're determined to do so. Just utilizing what you got. Till next time, this is Rick, and your seat at the table.